Hello, Internet! Well, another birthday has come and gone. I've been around for a good while at this point, and I've been able to develop a pretty complex personality, with many facets. You've got Star Tropics 2, but what led me to this point? I think it could be fun to look back at my memories and past experiences with video games to answer the question, how did I get here? Let's go back to the very beginning. Okay, maybe not that far back. See, I didn't really play any video games until a few years after beginning that whole existing thing, since I wasn't fully capable of doing so. But my parents certainly were, and at this point they had already fulfilled their civic duty of owning a Wii. Hey, this little box was perfect for introducing someone to video games. Motion controls are easy to wrap your head around. So one day, I saw them messing around with New Super Mario Bros. Wii and Wii Fit Plus, and finally got the chance to take a crack at video games myself. Now, what was the first game I chose? You know, that's a good question. I was always a big fan of watching holiday specials, regardless of what time of the year it was. You had the Charlie Brown collection, Mr. Magoo's Christmas Carol. I have the unique ability to tolerate the Star Wars holiday special. Something about these always felt so genuine and cozy, and that was never more true than with my personal favorite, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, created by Rankin Bass in 1964. I absolutely loved its music and characters when I was younger, and now I appreciate all the work that went into its production. Now, why did this 1960s Christmas special get a Wii game in 2010? Another good question. You a professional? This is about as basic of a licensed game as you can get. It's Christmas time once again, and playing as a character of your choice, you go through motion-controlled minigames to help get everything prepared. You can bounce items into the right position, throw paint at toys, bake cookies, drop presents from Santa Claus's sleigh, and that's it. Yeah, only 4 minigames in this entire package, and you can beat them all in 8 minutes. For a console game, that's an insanely small amount of content, and on top of that, it's also extremely easy. The thing is, this made it a pretty good first game for me. It was simple and short enough that I could replay it as many times as I wanted, and being based on my favorite holiday special helped to sweeten the deal. Of course, nowadays I'm more aware of the quality of games, and I wouldn't just buy one because it has a reindeer in it. Oh, sure, take my wallet. On the topic of spending money, let's talk about Lego. That was another huge part of growing up. I had a whole table for it where I just kept building sets and unique models until I completely ran out of room. I don't know how, apparently you can fit this stuff on a Wii disc. Lego Indiana Jones The Original Adventures. This was a gift from a cousin, and another really fun early game for me. The Lego games are still fairly simple, but they're packed with enjoyable gameplay and unlockable content. I actually hadn't watched the Indiana Jones films before this, so my first experience with the series was in virtual plastic form. Being accustomed to the more cartoony version of events led to a traumatic first viewing of the first movie. Of course, I didn't stick to licensed games forever. New Super Mario Bros. Wii was when I tried a bit, and it was fun playing with my dad even if I wasn't that great at the game back then. But strangely enough, my favorite game we had was Wii Fit Plus. Not only were the mini-games and presentation a lot of fun, something about controlling a game with a body was fascinating to a young me. It's been a while since I was obsessed with plastic, so let's get back to that again. I've discussed previously how much I grew up with Toys to Life games, but something I never really went into detail about is how magical these things were for kids at the time. Nowadays, these are clearly little more than physical DLC, but back then the idea of transporting figures into a game made things feel so much more real, and the games were easy enough for the target audience to get a hold of. Heck, they were the reason I decided to invest in a corpse. In all seriousness, this was another really fun console to have when I was younger, especially with everything you could do on the gamepad. Disney Infinity 2.0 was fun to make stuff in, but eventually I gravitated to the bundled games. While Super Mario 3D World might not be the greatest 3D Mario out there, it still has a great variety of level themes and areas to explore. And that's not even to mention all the little secrets you can discover. There are a bunch of hidden Luigis, and you can get the jackpot on the slot minigame by hitting the blocks to the beat, which I just recently discovered. Nintendo Land is another hidden gem, plopping you in a Nintendo-themed park with attractions based on various games from the company's history, all taking advantage of this weird little thing. My favorite was always Donkey Kong's Crash Course. The presentation was just so fascinating, putting you in this little wooden contraption based on the old arcade games. I never finished it, it was surprisingly difficult. I definitely have the Wii U to thank for letting me know about the greater game landscape outside of licensed titles, especially with the next game I picked up. Super Smash Bros. For Wii U was my first fighting game, and what an entry to start out with. I was introduced to Kirby, Kid Icarus, and Mega Man among many others which later became some of my favorite franchises. Also, we can't forget about plastic. Yes, Nintendo released their own Toys to Life line known as Amiibo, introduced alongside this game. In my opinion, this was their best implementation, learning from your fighting style and mimicking it to become super powerful. Not that I didn't enjoy other games using Amiibo. As an artsy kid, I was drawn to games like Yoshi's Woolly World and Kirby and the Rainbow Curse, and even got some enjoyment out of Paper Mario Color Splash. If you couldn't tell, like most younger kids, I wasn't exactly privy to what games were good at the time. Mario Party 10, Animal Crossing Amiibo Festival, Mario Tennis Ultra Smash. These are objectively not great, but I somehow managed to enjoy them. This was also the time I really started to get my hands on retro games from the Wii U Virtual Console. Even though I wasn't great at them, I was able to appreciate their simplistic style and catchy music. I was finally beginning to understand the gaming industry and keeping up with it, and one day I stumbled upon the trailer for Nintendo's next big console, the Switch. Now, I did have experience with handheld systems before, like the PSP and the Nintendo 3DS, but the Switch was a different story. Sure, I still dabbled in cardboard and plastic, but this was the system that truly got me committed to the world of video games. I started going online, looking at my collection critically, and eventually got inspired to talk about games. I could go on for much longer, but I think what I've discussed so far can paint a pretty good picture of what my early years of gaming were like, and that's something I believe is important. My old collection was far from perfect, but it's unique to me and helped shape the person I am today, which is something anyone could look into in order to discover more about themselves. Not to mention, I was finally able to add another personality trait to the list.